This was Jay Dyer. So he's going on Tucker Carlson. First off, massive moment here. It's not just like it's an Orthodox guy going on a major podcast. It's an Orthodox guy going on a major podcast to talk about Orthodoxy.
Right.
Like millions of people are going to see this. I mean, 1 million has already seen it on X. It's about 500,000 on YouTube already, day one. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Father Stephen DeYoung interview had like 1.5 million views or something. It was at like 500,000 after day 1 too. So I'm sure this interview is going to break. Yeah, it's going to break 1 million, dude. So glory to God, 1 million people are going to be exposed to the truth of Orthodoxy and the deficiencies of Protestantism. And this is where the prots start raging. They're freaking out over this very seamless claim here from Jay, talking about how medieval philosophy, nominalism, created modern troon ideology. Because basically, if you're familiar with what nominalism is, it's that, basically nothing has an essence, nothing has nature. It's just basically whatever you name it is what it is. So you name yourself like a man, and guess what? Hey, then you're a man. You know what I mean? Like, hey, these things kind of fit together. So let's watch the clip, and then we'll react to some of the crash outs here.
Basically, there's an idea in the Middle Ages called nominalism. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, so nominalism is the idea that there are only names to things, not essences. So there's no human nature. There's no dog nature. When we talk about natures or classes or sets of things, we're not giving an ontological or metaphysical status. We're just simply classing things together linguistically in a set. The Middle Ages in the ancient world, the time of Paul or the church fathers, they thought very differently. They thought that things have natures, they have essences. And so the words aren't just terms or nominal nameism. They actually describe what's really there in them metaphysically. Okay. So there is human nature. And in Orthodox theology, Christ assumes...
Who would deny that?
In the Middle Ages, it begins with people like William of Ockham. So Ockham is the first nominalist. And
the man with the razor.
Exactly. He's known for that. And he challenges some kind of established ideas of like essential. It's called essentialism, that things have essences. And so he also goes up against this idea of universals, that there's no such thing as a universal class or essence of a thing. And that had been kind of the norm since Plato and Aristotle as well. But so you get a denial of essentialism and essences, and then you get another guy named Gabriel Biel, and he's very influential on Martin Luther. And so when the Reformation kicks off, there's this debate about how could you be called righteous if you're not in fact righteous. So if as a human being, you are, menstrual rags, as Isaiah says, as the Reformer said, then how could God call you righteous without being a liar? What enter in nominalism, and nominalism is able to say, because things don't actually have essences, they just have names. And so if God calls you that, you are that legally, even though in actual fact you're wicked. So that was, and Luther was very happy to utilize that nominalistic approach. And by the way, this is not just my theory. There's famous Lutheran scholars. There's a book called Harvest of Medieval Theology by Heiko Obermann. And the whole thesis of that book by a Lutheran is that, Luther had to use nominalism.
So again, just a couple of things on this. Jay's not claiming that Luther claimed to be a nominalist. This is like I don't understand. This is like aggressive misunderstanding. I think it's just maybe because it gets views on X or impressions or engagement or whatever.
Yeah.
But all the prots are like, Luther never claimed to be a nominalist. He actually fought back against some nominalist claims. Yeah, but he still borrowed from their worldview. He still borrowed from their philosophy to set up his own worldview here. This is something
I don't even see that as something that's controversial. Like, it's so crazy that they're fighting against that, right? It's like that famous quote that you're just, dung covered in white,
Yep.
It's like nothing changes. That's literally nominalism.
Yeah, poop covered in snow. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you say is so true. I don't understand why this is even being debated, because this is known by almost every single scholar out there. Anybody who's thought about this seriously has known this. I mean, you can review Oxford studies on nominalism in Luther's theological work. I mean, this is literally everywhere. Oxford is covering this. Other academic sources are covering this. If you want to read the studies, you can go read them for yourself. It's plain to like literally anyone who's serious, but there's such a disconnect between the apologetics world and the world of academia. There's such a disconnect, especially in Protestantism. Like,
they are way behind. They are so behind. It's not like I think it was maybe Perry who was mentioning this on Twitter, where he was like, look, the Reformation was kind of premised on this idea that there's going to be a retrieval of like some beautiful theology from like this golden pre-Chalcedonian era. They're going to go and retrieve this theology and bring it back. And that's just, we see that that's not the case. Like the more we learn about justification and like dikaiosine and what these terms mean actually in that culture in the 1st and 2nd century milieu. And like I had Dr. Matthew Thomas on, who like this is one of his areas of expertise, and he was talking about the reception of Paul's work in the 2nd century. Like, how did the earliest Christians understand what Paul was saying? It is not what Luther and Calvin and Zwingli and the Reformers were saying. It was, shocker, it was like a Mesopotamian, like that Middle Near Eastern, like Judah, Palestine, 1st century understanding that like Semitic people would have in the sense of a gift, which is like when you get a gift, like a gift of grace from somebody, there's some reciprocation that's expected and involved in that. And just the way they use these terms, it totally invalidates the entire Protestant project, really, because this retrieval just doesn't exist. Like, it's not there. And you see this in academia and why Protestant scholars are like softening up on this in the last like 100 years or so.
Yeah. Well, it's wild because they'll go against their own scholars. Oftentimes they will go back, and this is why they have to do the aggressive misunderstanding. Because if they were to be charitable, if they were to actually look at what the scholarship states, even the modern scholarship, we're not even talking about like early Christian authors. We're not even talking about church fathers at this point. We're talking about what your own Protestant scholars are saying about Luther's works, dude. They are admitting, yes, he did borrow from nominalism to compile his worldview. And the claim is that he's going back and he's retrieving this from some earlier source. Even if you were to discard that part of the claim, your own scholars are saying, yes, he did actually borrow from nominalist philosophy, even though he simultaneously bashed it at certain points, certain aspects, certain entailments of that view he would bash. But he still borrowed bits and pieces of this. Yet people want to crash out because they realize the implication of an Orthodox guy, major Orthodox figure, Dyer, popping up on one of the biggest podcasts, pretty much one of the biggest podcasts out there right now, and letting everybody know what's up. Look, this is what your own scholars believe. This is devastating. And you don't have to be super high IQ to understand or follow this argument. That's why they're freaking out, because they know most of the people that watch that are going to come away from that saying, oh, maybe I do need to examine some things about my worldview. But let me dive into, so Jay actually did a response to this, but before I pull that up, let me look at some of the responses from the prots. So we've got these guys here. This is Jordan Cooper. He says, oh no, I'm stuck answering this foolishness again, aren't I? There are several things that led to contemporary progressive views of gender, and I'm unsure any of them have much to do with the Reformation. So he's like, look, Jordan Cooper is one of these guys that does like Lutheran polemics, apologetics, so on and so forth. He
My
will.
friend Jordan Pooper. Can't believe it.
Jordan Pooper. Jordan Pooper, why would you betray us, dude? Come on. I thought we were buddies. I thought we were buddies. But this guy, I mean, granted, he won't ever come and do any kind of discussion with any Orthodox guy.
Won't do any debates. Well, I think he did one and he kind of got smoked, right? Isn't that what happened?
Who did he debate? I don't remember.
I thought some Catholic, like Jimmy Aiken or something. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Did he? Did he? He
Maybe.
might have. I don't know. I never saw it. But he's definitely never had a conversation with any notable Orthodox guy. I mean, if he wants to discuss this, I'm sure Jay would do a discussion. I'm sure you would do a discussion with him, you know. But these guys,
I would
like-
be nice too. I'd put on the kid gloves. You know, I had a debate with that Lutheran pastor, Pastor Evans, on Modern Day Debates.
oh yeah,
Very nice guy, very winsome, not a debater.
right.
You know, but other like that, the comments on that are like, this is the most like productive, calm debate I've seen ever. Like Pastor Evan even seemed open to maybe like reconsidering some things in his worldview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have to take that approach with a lot of these guys, because if you press too hard, none of them are gonna want to talk to you, especially individuals like this. But the point that I'm making here is Jordan, he'll make these claims and he'll kind of obfuscate without offering anything to contribute towards the discussion. So it's just okay, I'm going to make this post. I'm going to make something that sounds incredulous while also ignoring the actual substance of the discussion here, which is that Luther actually did incorporate nominalism into his worldview, which is widely known. I mean, this is discussed in scholarly circles quite often. So this is the text actually that Jay was citing from. This is The Harvest of Medieval Theology. This is by Heiko Oberman, Lutheran theologian and scholar. You can literally pick this up yourself. The entire thesis of the book is talking about how Luther ties in nominalist philosophy into his theological views. This is the entire purpose of this book, The Harvest of Medieval Theology.
It's a little complicated, but it is like the text on this issue. It's mentioned in Justitia Dei as well, although in not as much detail.
Mm-hmm. Which that text in and of itself makes some pretty massive concessions.
Yeah.
Like sola fide is not found in the first, 1,500 years? Was that the claim? 1,500?
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. So we have more cope here. Captive Dreamer, what are we doing here? Which, by the way, this same dude, he's like a GOP shill. He's like a Trump apologist. He is like a pro-Protestant nationalism guy. Very odd set of views here. But he's like sharing the dissident Barbie stuff, saying that like Orthodoxy's rise is like Russia, like colluding and like infiltrating America. Russia is trying to make America more Russian by like bringing Orthodoxy or whatever. So he's just trying to counter signal however he can. So he takes the timestamps of the last half of the discussion where they're talking about geopolitics stuff. And he's like, what are we doing here? Who else was crashing out on this? Oh, here you go. Here's Razor Fist here. Here's Timu Danzig. So he replies to this post by Defiant Ghost. It's talking about the nominalism clip. He says, not only is that not what nominalism is, it is the exact opposite of what Luther believed. Rome at the time of the Reformation was imbibing in all manner of bizarre metaphysical subjectivism, which is part of what infuriated Luther.
Imbibing.
Whoa. He excoriated the church.
Excoriated. Wow.
For deferring to Plato and Socrates rather than the word. The word. That's his entire premise in Babylonian Captivity of the Church. So you've got Timu Danzig crashing out over this. Since not only is that that is what nominalism is, dude. What do you think it is? Does he offer a definition?
If it's not that, then what is it?
Yeah, it's just nothing. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
The comments mentioning the bubble pipe. It's whenever Jordan Pooper comes up that's what kind of spurs me on.
Yeah, you start feeling scholarly.
Suddenly, yes. I want to start mentioning writers like Chesterton and Tolkien and Lewis.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, I don't understand. They all make posts like this, but they don't offer any substance ever, even when pressed. Like, you asked him, like, flat out, like, can you provide some substance? The guy was like oh,
please.
I ratioed you. Oh. I ratioed you. Okay, great. Do you have an argument? Like, put forth anything.
Like, I don't know if they're coping so hard and I should, like, be empathetic to them, or, like, they're actually struggling working through these ideas. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing. I'd be like empathetic to that. But there are some things that I see like, oh, these people, these are not thinking people. Like they're not thinking through it. They're refusing to think through these ideas. And it's like, okay, well, why are you commenting on something you know nothing about? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like stick to your GOP politics thing. Stick to your I'm an edgy politics guy screaming into the microphone. It doesn't work in theological debate. I don't know if you realize that. Theology debate is like the epitome of intellectual discourse. Okay. Politics, you could just be an edgy guy, drop whatever, you want to like say a slur on stream, like raise your fist can get a bunch of views off of that. You can't do that kind of stuff and not offer any substance and do theological discourse. So this is why you have people who have, relatively big platforms. They talk a big game, but they never want to come and discuss, and they never want to provide any substance. It's all obfuscation. And this is what you get from dudes like this. This is exactly it. That's not what nominalism is. Tell me what it is. I sent him an invite if he wants to come and discuss this, but he won't. I guarantee you. It's just not.
They won't. They won't, because they will lose.
Yeah.
And they, like, as a man especially, you should want your ideas to be tested, because that's how you make sure they're right. And if they're bad, then you can make them better. But like, these are cowardly people. And it's really sad, because you have that list of people that will not enter the kingdom. And I think this Revelation 21, and the cowardly are on there. So like, yeah, they can piety signal all they want and counter signal all they want, talk so much smack about orthodoxy, never be held to account for it. There will be a day when they are held to account for it. So, better to put your money where your mouth is now than at the final judgment, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the guy actually looks for the truth.
Yeah.
I think sometimes having your beliefs tested can push you in that direction. I don't know this guy that well. So far, what I've seen is kind of soy. I don't know, man. But anyway, so he says, I don't know that's not nominalism. You're lying. It's the exact opposite of what Luther believed. No, dude, that's exactly what he believed. What do you mean? He pieced together pieces of nominalism. The claim is not that he said, yes, I am a nominalist. It's that he borrowed pieces of this philosophy, this philosophical worldview, to piece together his own theological views. This is the claim. This is what scholars will actually back up. I've already shown you. If you want to check this out, you could check out the studies on this. There are multiple studies. There's actually a more recent study than this. This one is from 2017. There's another one from Oxford that is literally still ongoing that you can read the notes on. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Luther, nominalism, Oxford. There's a recent one, a 2026 study where they're going back into it. Let me see if we can find that. Hold on one second.
The more I look at that tweet, though, from him, the more my blood pressure goes up, because, like, really, he's not saying anything, actually. It's like, that's not what nominalism is. And then his second point, I don't know if you want to switch tabs real quick while you're looking for the other thing. The second point was something like, there were many different philosophies going on. Yeah, at the time of the Reformation, Rome was imbibing in all manner of bizarre metaphysical subjectivism. So point one, that's not what nominalism is. Point two, there are many views in Roman Catholicism at the time of the Reformation. Point three, Luther excoriated the church for deferring to Plato and Socrates rather than so Luther said that they're relying too much on philosophy. What does any of this have to do with nominalism?
Right.
Literally, they're just saying words. They're not even making an argument. This is like the same thing I saw with Eric Ibarra. These people think that, like, just by spewing facts, that they're gonna, they like look smart or something. They're not actually engaging with any ideas. These are pseudo-intellectuals. They don't even know what they're talking about. But by using some like fancy, by pulling out as the thesaurus, maybe he can trick a few people into following him. But like, these are not smart people. These people just say things. They're not even related to the point at issue. Like, how are you going to talk about something you don't even know what the point at issue is?
His argument is literally that Luther didn't like philosophy. That's the argument.
He doesn't even say that though. Like, I mean, I get that's what he's trying to say. What he actually says is a bunch of words that are not even relevant, right? It's like he excoriated the church for deferring to Plato and Socrates. So Martin Luther was very familiar with philosophy at the time. He was very well read on Aquinas, on Augustine. He was an Augustinian monk.
Mm-hmm.